Everybody, Charlie here from Rugby in Florida and talking Florida rugby occasionally with another interview. Today, we have Mike Gomez, who is the FRU VP of Development, and we're going to bring him in right now. Hello, Mike. How you
Hey,
doing?
Charlie. Great to be here.
AKA Gomez, as many people refer to you for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah,
Gomez.
that's probably one of the nicest things people will ever call me.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Listen, many people might think you guys at the Florida Rugby Union are taking a nap during the summer, but actually you are working. So I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna thank you for that work of you and the other officers, which is I don't know. Maybe you get paid for all your work.
No, it's
No?
FRU. It's a bylaw. So if you serve on the board, you cannot get paid.
Yeah, I know. I was just kidding.
Isn't
But
that
so
wild?
everybody should be thankful that for good or bad, we have a group of people like actually thinking about how to move rugby forward. So you are VP of development. It's you already been this for one season, right? This is your or two seasons. This is
So
your
I think I came on like halfway through the
yeah.
year at some point like that. Yeah. So I believe I've been on the board for one or two springs and one fall. This will be like the second fall.
Okay. And during this time, what are the things that you have been like? I know you're a guy very data driven, and you like to have your info as much as you can. What have you found in the clubs around the state and in different divisions that are holding them back? And what can we do, or how can you help them overcome those obstacles?
Yeah, so I did. You're right. I did compile a bunch of data from this past season, and the main thing I was looking at amongst teams was basically just a few key metrics. One was how many players started 75% or more of the matches, right? How many substitutes were used, or actually rather unused, right? Assuming you got 8 per match. And then also how many different players were used throughout the year. And I mean, I learned some things. One, I learned that teams are absolutely pretty bad at Explorer, right? Like you have teams who, according to Explorer, didn't use a single sub all year. And if you played seven 80-minute matches without a sub, like either you have 15 Ironmen or you're not
Well, that's
quite
what
good.
we used to do in the 70s.
Yeah,
15
right.
players,
Sure, and I'm
but not
sure,
not.
and I'm sure the rugby looked amazing back then. Um, uh,
It was pretty rough.
yeah, for sure. You guys had to play all 80 minutes. If you want a better picture of your team, right? Like give better output. So having no subs, right? Showing no subs, showing no scores, things like that doesn't paint a good picture for your club for the people who care about numbers and things like that. And then also going into numbers, number of players used, right? If your first match you can use 23 players, right? How many do you use as the season goes on? And I gave a speech, I gave a presentation at last year's summit, and I think anywhere between 3 and 4 changes a match is a healthy amount. And so if you just do simple math, right, like across 7 or 8 games, we should be using 35 plus different players. And the last metric that I looked at was how many players were one and done, right? Like how many players got to play one match and then they never appeared on the roster again. Because that number really cuts out your players used. You might use 50 players, but you went into a game knowing that it was a forfeit or it was a foregone conclusion, and you got 23 one and dones. Then of course your number is a little closer to 37, 40. In terms of where teams are lacking, I do think, especially looking at the top, right, the top performers. that number of players that start 75% or more of the matches, I think that number should really try and hover around 10 to 12, right? I get that the teams on top know who their team is, but if you look at the best teams, right, when they're in continuous competition, they still have those roster changes, right? If you're a good team, you're not reliant on one person, especially if that is if that position has an opposite, right? If it's not 2, 8, 9, 10, 15, right? Put another person in there, get someone to start rather than coming off the bench, because that's how Explorer rates players, right? It rates it as, did they start, were they on the bench, and did they come in? So I don't want to see anybody on the bench and not coming in until the playoffs, until the finals, right? Unless it's the playoffs, unless it's the finals, everyone should be playing. Everyone should be playing when the score is tight, right? Like, it's kind of sad seeing the bench get dumped in minute 70 when the score is now 28-7. So I think that's kind of on coaches, on whoever's managing those substitutions. One, either record it and explore correctly so that you don't look like you're not developing, that you're not getting better, because I do think that is part of development. But two, like, trust yourself. Like, trust that you coach players to be able to respond to these situations. If you're scared to put a player in, that's just a statement of about you as a coach. Now, if they're not ready, then we could talk about preseason development, in-season development, things like that, as to how to get a player to be ready to be on the field. But where teams are lacking, I think it's certainly in terms of numbers of players used and substitution utilization.
Yeah, so I see you base a lot of this research in the information you get from Rugby Explorer, which this is going to be season number 4, I believe we're using it, and right?
5?
No, not
We didn't
5.
start in 21.
I don't think so. No, I think it's the 4th season.
Okay.
Last year it was still not very good for a little bit, and then mid-season, like, you catched up. Is this something the union is like looking into to get it done? Because it's not that hard. It's just a matter of the clubs understanding that they need to do this, and for one, they need. I mean, it's not optional. It's not like, and we don't like it.
Yeah, you have to do it. It for the foreseeable future. It's going to be part of our continuing education that the union provides. Lord knows, like, it's probably the greatest expense in terms of our administrative support. It's just helping people with Explorer. So when people come to the AGM and complain, like, why are we paying Ashford so much? Like, they should just look in the mirror, right? Like, it is because we are spending time helping people when the answer is Google it, right? When the answer is look at the Explorer website, it's on there for you. But Ash having to go back and open up matches because people didn't enter their substitutes by the Monday after a game, needing to go and reset games, needing to, that's just, it's administrative burden.
I would argue that by now, season number 4, there are no more excuses. So if game day comes, and I don't know where you want to set the deadline, if it's the day before or the day of the game, but always before the game, you don't have a roster there. That's a forfeit. That's it. How can you play a game as we did last season, and a lot of them, and you go and check the rosters, and the one team doesn't, you don't even know who you played? I mean, that's unacceptable. And this is actually,
Yeah.
and this is actually much easier than when we used to do everything on paper. I mean, it is. You just have to learn it. It's not that hard, and you have to realize you need somebody in charge of that. Not to mention that it's really for some of us who really follow at times the games. Some teams, they actually keep it in real time. You can follow the score if you want.
Yep.
And it's not that hard. I mean, and it's a lot of benefit.
Yes. So Charlie, I can't stress this enough. It is not that hard, and it is not a lot of benefit. Like, who doesn't want an investment that pays them back more than what they put in?
And
Um,
they may not see it. That must be the issue. So
so
anyway, let's moving towards this. I was saying that you guys are not napping, so I know you've been working on the schedules for the men's and the college. What are in your view from last season as far as the schedules we had? Did you are they okay? Did you see something that maybe we should change this? And I guess you get feedback from the clubs, of course.
yeah, yeah. So
So
I would say that's kind of like one of the main things I do is just try and have this casual relationship with teams, right? Like I call, I have a few contacts with each team that I feel comfortable with calling up and saying, hey, like, what did you think about this season? What was the struggle? Where did your club struggle? Things like that. And I'm really thankful for these people because they give me honest feedback. Most of them have great pulses on their club and they can truly answer. And I think perhaps a last year maybe smaller teams or not as well resourced teams might have had a few maybe one too many matches. Um,
too
I
many.
know one too many, like yeah, just maybe one too many. I think having the quarterfinals, the round quarter wasn't necessary, right? I think the I don't think right. Based my opinion, based on what I heard, is that players by and large would rather have an extra bye week than an extra round of playoffs. Um,
They
and
didn't seem to be very competitive either, right?
right, what
So
the way it
yeah,
stands at this point, semifinals are already the top half
yeah.
of the division. So I mean,
I
you
don't like
know,
the concept either of everybody goes to playoffs, which was pretty much the case.
it
I
depends
just
on the
I
division.
I know. Well, as a concept,
If it's kids, maybe like it can be good. It depends. It depends on how many teams you have, right? But in terms of what we had, of course, hindsight's 2020. But what the product was available in April was not suitable for.
so is that going away the quarterfinals?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
and we still have the same amount of teams in D2 and D3. We had nine in
Um,
D2. I mean, we have the Trident situation, so that would be eight for this year. Well, we can talk about that later. And D3, we had 12 teams.
yeah. So D2 is 8 in tridents to make 9. D3 is 10. Um, yeah, college D1 6, and then college D2 7. Women
So
and then adult women is 5 with Southwest Florida.
okay, yeah, that's a great addition. That's gonna make it a little bit better there for the women.
Not for
And
Jacksonville, but
why not? But they have
just
to.
to travel, just the travel distance, because Southwest Florida is great. It's a triangle for Tampa and Miami, and then straight across to Orlando, and then we got Jacksonville out there. But it's fine. Jennifer Fasano's making it work.
Man, all those teams in the north, they should move down south. You
But
know.
property values are way cheaper up here.
So we had that announcement from Kerry last week saying that a big thing that is going to be implemented is the hours where teams play. If I don't recall, if I recall correctly, on one hand it's made to accommodate better time frames for referees, better use of the resources we have there, and also to address some travel issues. Is travel something that teams complain a lot?
Do teams complain a lot? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Teams complain a lot. Yes. Travel is one of the complaints. Um, it's kind of that thing. It's like, you either play the same teams over and over again or you travel. And I hope everyone just kind of recognizes that, what goes around comes around. If you travel somewhere, you'll get a return trip back, and it's what comes with the territory, pun intended. Um, but hopefully this year's schedule does alleviate a bit of the travel burdens.
So because this travel factor is being built into the schedule in a different way that it was before.
So with the kickoff times, right? It's gonna the board is kind of is assigning these kickoff times being driven by a policy where teams aren't going to be expected to be on the road before 7 a.m. in the morning, and we also don't expect them to be driving past 10 p.m. at night. And so kind of like based on those parameters and travel distances and things, right? So say Tampa's got a big weekend, right? So Tampa D2 and D3 men's and Tampa women's are hosting. It kind of allows us to look at and be like, all right, well, what referees are likely to be assigned to this, right? Can we get, a team of referees so that a newer referee can AR for, an established referee and then subsequently get coached by them in their match? And then also who's traveling for the D3 game, who's traveling for the women's game, who's traveling for the men's game, and obviously if, one team is traveling, Tampa's a bad example. No one's traveling 7 hours to Tampa, but, it allows us to kind of look at things from a holistic standpoint. Like you said, using our resources. Another thing is we have a weekend where, say, Southwest Florida and Ave Maria both have a home game. We can say, hey, this game's at 12 and then this game's at 3, because now we only have to use Kyle. That way you both get your home pitch, and Kyle Vandeventer can cover both games without a problem. And teams can appeal, right? They can, if that situation were to happen, and Southwest Florida says, hey, we're cool with playing on Ave Maria's pitch, and Ave Maria says they're cool with it, then by all means, just come to the board and say, hey, we're appealing these kickoff times. And I mean, we're pretty agreeable people. Like this is our response to, we'll say, teams not playing nice in the sandbox, right? Recognizing that our toys, aka the referees, need to be shared. And so we're gonna do our best to allocate the toys, right? And if you guys as kids can come up with a better plan on how to play with them, then we'll listen. But for now, there's going to be rules. And
What do you think of whenever it's possible? Of course, like when teams are sort of in the same area, to play at night.
Well, it's not all fields have lights, but yeah, no. If you're traveling an hour and a half or less, play on freaking Friday night and get your whole weekend back. I mean, Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, Boca. Like if you guys have lights, oh my god, Friday night rugby be awesome. But again, lights cost more money. Like I understand. Playing at night comes with its own restrictions, right? We can make pros and cons lists all day.
I just see that that's so enjoyable, because of the weather, and it's like the just feels.
It's exciting. It's exciting. Yeah. It is.
They even look like they play better for some reason. I don't know why.
Because it's not hot.
Listen, and regarding the amount, I was recently talking to Graham Noop from the Pelicans, and we discussed a little bit about playing more rugby. I'm always an advocate of playing more rugby. What is your opinion, and what are the clubs saying? Because literally, as we just said, the different divisions, they play a regular season of 6, 7, 8 games at the most. Some teams are good in the fall, and they add up 4 or 5 games. Some are terrible, they don't even play in the fall. And at the end of the day, if we don't play, we just don't get better.
You don't get better.
I mean,
you
have to
don't
play.
Get better. You don't get better. You have to play. You have to play, and everyone has to play. So yeah, I mean, I watched your video, and I agree. We should be playing more rugby, but we shouldn't be playing longer. We should be playing deeper, right? You said something about 20 games. Guess how many matches we played in Tallahassee?
20 games.
21. We played 21 season matches in the same time frame that some played 6 or 7.
That's FSU.
That's 2 FSU sides and Tallahassee, all FSU.
Oh,
It's
it's like the same thing,
same
cousins.
thing. Same. I'm putting out the select. I'm putting out the roster for all 3,
Okay.
and it's all different. They're all different guys. So yes, like we should be playing more rugby.
So how do we do
to
that?
be playing at the same time? Like how do you do it? You have more people. How do you
Because
get more people?
because yeah.
play
So,
more.
sorry to interrupt you. Because some people say, "Oh, the union doesn't have to be." Kirk always said to me, we don't have to be arranging, the fall season. That they do
We
whatever they
don't.
want. I mean, I agree to some extent, but what you can do is encourage and facilitate. Okay.
Yeah. So
I,
2 years ago, I had the idea, right? Like get these tri-club tournaments, right? Like pick 2 teams in your area. You pick a Saturday. You pick 3 Saturdays. You space them out, and then you go there. You show up. You have a joint training session. So now the coaches of that home club get like a bunch of invested players. So now the pressure's on them. They get better as coaches. Now they have the assistant coaches, the head coaches of the visiting team. So now they get better at managing coaches, right? If you have 3, so now you guys practice for an hour, you play a bunch of, 30-minute, 20-minute games or whatever. And because we're not keeping scores, it doesn't matter. Players are encouraged to play, right? And again, like your best players don't need to be playing, right? Like your best, oldest players don't need to be playing. You can get a team of refs, right? 3 teams, 3 refs, right? Like all of a sudden it's just like development all weekend, and you
it's a
get it
little,
done in an
it's a little
afternoon, and you
festival.
don't travel. But like, yes, like teams need to take the initiative. I
Not,
really don't think the union should be planning falls, just because.
not planning, but you can be pushing this and offering some assistance. Like, hey, listen, if you do at least 3 team little, tournament, we would pay for the referees, for example, stuff like that. You just encourage them, and actually, you can't make them do it, but you can go and talk to some of these clubs and say, hey, why don't you do this? That's a good idea, which we were discussing also with Graham. It's very feasible. It has so many
Easy.
advantages. We do have the All Florida Day, which
To be,
uh,
yeah. So I think all Florida today, is just kind of like what you build towards. Like I think teams should do 2 things, right? I think they should go on tour, right? And I think they should go to all Florida Day. And so you kind of just use both as like your peaks, right? As what you plan to, right? And so then you like once you do those 2 things, you're kind of done for the fall, right? Because we roll into Thanksgiving, we roll into Christmas. So like if teams kind of plan around taking a trip in say October, right, playing someone you don't normally play, making it an overnight trip, and then also planning on going to all Florida, potentially making that an overnight trip, I think teams will, if they do them correctly, reap an immense amount of benefit in terms of development.
when you
Because
say
go ahead.
when you say overnight trip, you're suggesting a 2 day tournament, or
No, it doesn't
no?
have
No.
to be, but you should just stay the night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like stay the night, right? Like allow players to have the luxury of not needing to travel after playing.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I think that's I've said it before, right? But like everyone's fondest rugby memories aren't at their home pitch. I mean, maybe but usually the best ones are on a trip.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of All for the Day, and I think we should encourage it more. It has to, for example, why? Because back in the days, as you may remember, when it was a 2 day event,
At Tavares,
everybody would go,
everybody.
and somebody lifted a cup. okay, you were playing for something. So it was a combination of being able to play all the guys that have, started playing, and at the same time look forward to, winning something, which is always more fun. So some of those elements should, I know,
Yeah, I don't
because
disagree.
because I know for sure that in many cases, and you must know this also, in many clubs, they just are sort of not aware of anything. Okay, they literally, it could be like end of October, and oh, there's a Florida Day in a couple of weeks. Yeah, maybe the union announced it, 2 months before, or they mentioned it at the AGM. But you know, if you want that to be, and I think it would be nice to, for all Florida Day, to bring back a little bit more of something that clubs look forward. It's something you have to, work.
Yeah, hey, we're working on some details now. Unfortunately, because of these details, like right, we can't say too much. But things that we are looking at is like we're like I mean, I'm talking quality venues, right? Like there's because again, right, we have to have multiple fields, things like that. And I think having a championship venue, I think is going to be something that will be really nice. Um, but yeah, I mean, again, you talk to people, I talk to people. Like, do we really think a cup is a good incentivizer for coming to all
It's
four today?
Well, it's something else.
Yeah,
It's you can put other things in. And let me run this by you. What do you think of our Florida Day also, coordinating with the youth union and having U19s and U16s there? What do you think about that?
be a great idea.
Okay, talk to Alan then.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, the thing is, are U19s and U16s really going in the fall? Because I know a lot of them have issues with
What?
football
No,
and
no, no. I mean, that's one of the issues, but you have to start somewhere
you have
because
to start doing something, right?
the
The thing is also is with all Florida Day, we do look for a central location, and
that's fine,
that's not where a lot of
man. And
U19 and U16 teams are.
they travel, man. They travel.
To Jacksonville,
Yeah.
and
I,
they complain about it.
what is the
Everyone
problem?
complains about
Well,
travel.
but they travel, and the thing is that when you have something, and we're talking about the fall and how to get more rugby. If you have something to look forward to, that may also help to get them practicing before, maybe 2 weeks before, 3 weeks before, because oh, we were going to start, I don't know, mid October or late October, because we don't have games till January. So what's a
Mhm.
rush? Now, oh, there's going to be this tournament. Even bringing teams from some of the states, because it is all Florida Day, but you guys wanted to rebrand it to, I don't know what it was, something very
It was
inappropriate.
Hurricane 15s
Yeah,
last
something
year.
very inappropriate at the time, because we
It
got
was
some.
we were raising money for hurricane relief.
Uh, yeah, okay, but it just sounded.
We donated people's entry fees to hurricane relief.
Ah, that's good. That's good.
So yeah, no, I don't disagree with you, but I will say that if teams think that they don't need to play in October for a season in January, then they're just asking to lose. I think hopefully everyone knows the value of a preseason, right? And everyone can consider periodization. We've had our off months, right? May and June. You should have, your players should not have been thinking about rugby. And now as July and excuse me, July wraps up, August. Hopefully, coaches, captains are getting their players to start running, right, hitting the weights, saying, hey, like let's start jogging for 20 minutes 3 times a week if we want to win a championship in April. And then probably after Labor Day, teams should be looking at maybe starting to train, run 4 to 5 games between end of September and all Florida Day, and you'll be set for the fall, I think.
Is one of your goals as development officer to at some point for the teams like for the men, for so the senior teams, for all of them to have at least two sides because you know most of the teams just have one side and they've been playing for 50 years now, most of them. So
Yeah, I would
is
say
it
my goal is to have all teams part
and
meet their population expectations.
uh,
I don't expect Gainesville to have 100 people,
why
right?
not?
Gainesville because they have a population of about 242,000.
Okay, so you just need 100 of those 200,000. You don't.
Right. But again, I'm not I expect I can ask them, but I'm going to expect 39 to 40 based on those numbers, right? But
you know
Miami, Orlando, Tampa, Jacksonville, those need to be 100 people clubs, right? There needs to be like I would love to see, right? Like, okay, fine, like we want to say Tridents, right? Like Tridents in Miami, like that's the hub, right? Like that's the D1 team. But then like Doral has a team, Kendall has a team, right? Like all these pockets of suburbs, like it's wild to me that I when I go home to Miami and I walk my dogs and I pass two parks in a 20-minute walk. And every Saturday and Sunday, without fail, both baseball fields in that park have at least 30, 20, 20 to 50 aged, 20 to 50-year-old age males playing full-sided baseball, right? And like these guys like buy uniforms too. They just play fucking casual football, casual baseball. So, there's people out there and I think we need to be recognizing, again, like I'm not asking for smaller areas to outperform, but I do think we need to recognize our shortcomings in our major geographic populations areas.
Yeah, I don't think I agree with that sort of correlation because and it may be just like, hey, there's just not people interested in rugby. It's just like it's just a very tiny sport, and for some reason we have not been able to make it any more than that
I
because
think it's because people want to make it look like high level rugby from the beginning. I mean, I've said this before, right? Like when we start every year here in Tallahassee at Florida State, every year, like we don't play touch until we play our first game because we keep it at such a low level. Like you're right, like people aren't looking for rugby, but what are they looking for? Everyone's looking for belonging. Everyone's looking for a third place outside of home and work. Everyone's looking to stay fit, right, and be healthy. And I think that if you focus your team on providing those things before providing rugby, then you start to, generate that want, that desire. So many times I talk to players, who are stepping into that, like, oh, I'm running the team now. And I ask them, like, well, what are you going to do at practice? And they say the basics, 2-on-1s. And it's just like, that's not the basics, right? Like 2-on-1 is like a pretty complex thing, right? Like the basic in a 2-on-1 is first off catching and passing, right? Like running, catching, passing. Like you need to have practices that are people doing those three things over and over and again. Put them under pressure, put them in decision making situations, right? But just have them running, catching, and passing. It doesn't have to be rugby. And then that's how you create the want and the desire for people to be there. And then once you have people, then you start molding, right? Like you need to bring in all the sand to build your castle. You don't hold up a picture of the castle and say, all right, sand particles, assemble.
okay, it's a complicated topic. Why is it that clubs don't grow year after year? It's We have some cases of clubs growing, but not not most of them. So college, how's college looking?
College is looking good. It's looking good. Yeah, it's kind of like the same format as last year with D1 having a north south, and you play your division home and away twice, and then it's kind of an unbalance, right? Because you have three teams in your cross division, so you either get two at home or two away. And then D2 kind of has a kind of the same thing as men's D2, where it's like everyone plays through.
And of course, we're STU is moving on to D1A, so we're not going to have them at least.
Well, they're
I
entering
believe.
a D2 side, from my understanding.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, that's good. So, okay, I don't know if you have. Let me see if I have anything written down here. Okay. For the AGM, we're gonna have on Sunday a coach clinic or something like that.
It's the coach. So we're
The
working
credit.
on confirming it, but it should be the coach and referee certification course, right? So like,
Oh, there's gonna be a course. Okay.
yeah. So teams that need to have that certified coach on paper, right? Like now's the time. Like I think the course costs like $100, right? Like every team should just send send one more person to get certified. It doesn't help. It doesn't hurt. As well as the referee certification. Just go send somebody. It doesn't hurt. Whoever you send, you should be paying for them to do it, right? You're asking for someone to give up their time. You should be covering their cost. Something I tell players at FSU is like, if you go get certified, right? I'll pay you to cover the B-side games. And all of a sudden you have kids like, oh yeah, I'll go do this.
What about the union, like paying 50% of the courses?
We sponsor the lunches for all the courses.
Oh, you feed the guys. Okay.
Yeah, we feed the guys, which will say this: the Texas Rugby Union charges $25 a person for lunch. So, there is such a thing as a free lunch with the union, with the Florida Rugby Union. No, that's a good point. I have brought up to the board like that. We should cover. If the course doesn't meet the minimum threshold, right? Like we'll cover the empty seats. But I think paying 50% is a bit. I think clubs should recognize that this is something that's important and put in this investment themselves.
Okay, finally, FSU, because you're the coach, you're officer here in the union. You're the coach for FSU. You're like the boss at Tallahassee. You do everything.
Yeah, a little bit.
FSU, when do you guys start?
School starts in like a month, August 28th or something like that. So we won't start training till after Labor Day. Same thing I suggest for the men's.
Okay,
September. Right? Like it's not a secret. I'm not gatekeeping. The same thing I say don't start until after Labor Day.
And speaking of college, any other teams like wanting to start?
Not that I know of.
No. And we didn't lose any team from last season, right? All the ones we had are staying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, Mike. I don't know if you want to add anything else.
No, I mean, hey, I hope everyone comes to the AGM. I hope everyone, just becomes a little more cognizant, right? Like you said, it'll be October and people will be like, oh yeah, all Florida Day, just be aware, right? Subscribe to the minutes of the union, read them.
Yeah, I haven't seen minutes in a while, by the way.
Yeah, we canceled our last meeting. It was, we didn't really have anything.
I want to give a quick shout out to Martin. One of your players, he gave me this very nice hat from a team in Argentina.
Yes. He's there right now.
Okay.
Yeah, his sister's getting married. So saludos to them.
Okay, Mike, thank you very much.
Charlie, thank you as always. Thank you for giving your time and being aware of everything.
I try.
I know, okay. And hopefully more people do as well.
Maybe. Okay. Thank you, man.
We'll see.
See you. See
Thank
you soon.
you.
Hang around a second.
Yeah.